She thought he was dead. In the blistering heat of the Arizona desert, 7-year-old Lily Carter crept through the brush, barefoot, sunburned, and hungry, searching for scraps to survive another day. What she found instead was a man tied to a twisted tree, motionless, drenched in sweat, lips cracked and eyes barely open. At first, she nearly ran. What kind of danger did a man like that bring? But when he whispered, "Water, please," her world shifted. He wasn't just any man. He was Ethan Bennett, a missing billionaire, kidnapped, beaten, and abandoned by people who wanted everything he owned. And now his only hope of survival rested in the hands of a street-smart girl who didn't trust anyone, especially not grown men in dirty suits. What began as a tense rescue in the middle of nowhere quickly spiraled into a journey neither of them expected, one filled with betrayal, pursuit, and a fragile bond born from desperation. But in a world that had turned its back on both of them, could a forgotten girl really save a man who once had everything? Stay with us. What happens next will shake everything you think you know about survival, trust, and family. The desert sun was merciless at midday. Even the wind carried heat like fire. 7-year-old Lily Carter walked barefoot across the scorched earth of the Arizona desert, her skin darkened by sun, her soles toughened by years without shoes. She had the eyes of someone who had seen far more than her age could explain, eyes that no longer flinched. Each day was the same find: food dodge, social workers avoid predators, and sleep wherever shadows didn't move. But that day, everything changed. She spotted him near a twisted mesquite tree, slumped and motionless. At first, she thought it was a corpse. His suit was stained with sweat and dust, and his face, though covered in stubble, looked like someone important once. Thick rope pinned him to the tree like an abandoned animal. She froze, heart racing. Was it a trap? Then his lips moved. "Please, water," he rasped. She stepped back instantly, ready to run, but his voice wasn't threatening. It was broken, weak, human. "What happened to you?" she asked from a distance. He opened his eyes, pain flickering in them. "My name is Ethan Bennett. I was kidnapped. They left me here." That name meant nothing to her. She didn't know billionaires, boardrooms, or mining companies. All she saw was a man half dead and tied to a tree in the middle of nowhere. "Why would someone tie you up?" she asked sharply. "They thought someone would come for me, but no one did." Lily squinted. She'd seen men lie, hurt, steal, but something in his tone pulled at her. Still, she had rules that kept her alive. "I'll get you water," she said. "But if you move toward me or lie, I'll leave you here to rot." Ethan nodded, relief clouding his sunburned face. He watched as she vanished into the brush. He had never begged for help in his life, never needed to CEO of Bennett Resources, one of the top mining corporations in the country. Ethan lived a world away from this dust and silence. He remembered being shoved into a black SUV outside his office in Phoenix, then darkness, fists, and now this hell. An hour later, Lily returned with a cracked bottle full of warm, gritty water. He drank like a dying man. She sat cross-legged a few feet away, arms crossed, studying him like a feral cat, deciding whether to attack or stay. "How did you end up in a suit out here?" she asked. "I work and used to work in an office," he muttered. "Some people want what I have. That's why they took me," she frowned. "People like you always have enemies, sometimes even in your own family." Then came the question that changed everything. "You want me to cut you loose if you can?" Yes, she didn't answer, just reached into her tattered backpack and pulled out a small red-handled knife. Ethan stiffened. "Where did you get that?" "Some guys gave it to me. They taught me how to slice handbags. I didn't like it, but I kept the knife for days like this." With calm precision, Lily stepped toward him and began sawing at the rope. Her movements were clean, practiced. Ethan watched her, struck dumb, not just by her courage, but by her control. This wasn't a child. This was a survivor. When the last rope fell, he collapsed forward with a groan, rubbing his wrists red and bruised. "You would have died here," Lily said matter-of-factly. "People don't last long out here without water, not even rich ones." He chuckled softly despite himself. A strange silence followed. The wind howled, picking up sand. The heat pressed on them like a second skin. "Do you have anywhere safe to go?" he asked. "I have my place," she snapped. "And it's mine. Didn't mean to offend, it's not safe for either of us now." She smirked. Was it ever? Still, she sighed. "There's an old truck busted about half a mile east. I crash there sometimes. You can rest if you can make it." Without waiting, she started walking. He stumbled after her. The truck was rusted out and hidden under brush. It stank of oil and dust, but it was shade. Lily climbed in with ease. Ethan groaned, twisting his ankle on the way up. "Careful, big guy," she said with a grin. The first time she smiled, inside she unwrapped a dirty plastic bag and pulled out a bruised apple and half a tortilla. "You're sharing?" that he asked, stunned. "You got lucky today," she shrugged, tossing him the apple. "Don't push it." They ate in silence. Shafts of sunlight filtered through the metal cracks, casting lines of light on their faces. Ethan asked what she did each day. "Same as always," she said. "Look for food, avoid the bad people. Stay alive. You have any family?" "That's none of your business," she snapped. "I helped you. That's all." Now we're even. His legs were still shaking. "I'm not going to last long out here." "Not without help." Lily studied him, conflicted. She'd spent her life hiding, never relying on anyone. But this man, something about him made her hesitate. Eventually she grumbled, "Fine, we walk at sunrise, shade at noon. You keep up or drop." Ethan nodded, humbled. She lay back and closed her eyes. "But if you snore, you're sleeping outside." He chuckled, but deep inside a shift was happening. He realized his life now depended on this girl, and she had no reason to help him yet. She did. As night fell, Lily rested with one hand protectively over her backpack. Ethan watched her, feeling a strange ache in his chest. Something like guilt. Something like admiration. He wasn't sure yet what he owed her, but he knew it was everything. We're truly sorry for interrupting this intense story right here, but we'll continue in next part. Before we do, what would you have done if you were Lily? Help him or walk away? Do you believe trust can grow between two people from such different worlds? And one more thing, we'd love to know, which country are you watching from today? If this story moved you even a little, please give us a like and send some love. By the time the sun crept over the edge of the Arizona desert, the rusted truck felt like an oven. Lily Carter was already awake, lacing her old sneakers, 2 sizes too big, with the intensity of a soldier preparing for battle. Beside her, Ethan Bennett sat groaning stiff from a sleepless night on the cold metal floor. She tossed him a bottle with the last of their warm water. "Drink slow, you'll sweat most of it out anyway." "I feel like I've been hit by a truck," he muttered. "That's funny," she smirked, "because you're sitting in one." They set off as the horizon blushed with heat. Lily walked ahead, scanning the land like she knew every crack and shadow. Ethan lagged behind every step, a war between his body and his pride. "You okay back there, Grandpa?" she shouted without turning. Not a grandpa, yet he huffed, just severely outmatched. They were making for an old storage compound. Lily remembered mostly ruins now, but it had shade, sometimes water. As they trekked, Ethan tried to catch his breath in conversation. "You've done this a lot," she asked, "walking through hell. More than you've sat in boardrooms. Why don't you go to a shelter?" Her head whipped around. "Been there, got the bruises to prove it." He didn't press. The way she said it made his skin crawl. Hours passed, blisters formed on Ethan's feet. His vision blurred from heat. Just when he thought he'd collapse, Lily pointed her chin toward the distance. "There. That's it." A decaying metal warehouse appeared like a mirage. Rust ate through the roof. Graffiti danced across the crumbling walls, and a water tank, barely dripping, stood like a skeletal tower beside it. They slipped inside. The shade was heavenly. Ethan dropped to the floor, breathing like he'd run a marathon. Lily disappeared and returned with a dented can of beans and half a smashed granola bar. "I've slept here before," she said. "Ghosts don't scare me. The living do." As they ate in silence, Ethan finally looked at her. Not just glanced, but really looked. The sunburn on her cheeks, the dirt in her fingernails, the knife she still carried tucked into her sock. And under all that, the strength of someone the world had forgotten to protect Lily. He said quietly, "You don't have to keep doing this alone." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "I'm not." She stood abruptly. "Good, because people say that all the time, then they vanish." Outside, the wind shifted, and with it something in the air. Lily stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Ethan paused, a low rumble. "A motor!" She pulled him to his feet so fast he stumbled. Down high, they ducked behind a fallen support beam. Through a crack in the wall, Ethan saw it, a white pickup truck, slowly rolling across the nearby dirt road. Two men sat in the cab. Lily's face went pale. "They're the ones," she whispered. "The guys who tied you up." Ethan's blood ran cold. "If they see you, we're dead." The truck paused, engine idling. Ethan held his breath. Then after what felt like an eternity, it rolled on, kicking up a cloud of dust. Lily didn't speak until the sound disappeared. "We're taking another way out," she said. "How do you know where to go? Because if you don't learn to read this land, it eats you alive." He followed without question. The next few hours blurred into heat and ache. Ethan limped. Lily stayed a few steps ahead, refusing to slow down. "You okay?" she finally asked, glancing back. "Honestly, no good. That means you're still alive." Suddenly, she stopped and spun around. "Look at you, sweating like a pig, stumbling like a drunk. You had everything: money, suits, people kissing your feet, and now you're crawling behind a kid like me." Ethan didn't respond. There was nothing to say. She shook her head. "You had it all, and you still ended up tied to a tree." "That's exactly why I'm here now," he said quietly. "Because I didn't see it coming, because I thought I was untouchable. And what happens when this is over? You go back to your glass tower and forget I existed." "No," he said without hesitation. "I'm not going anywhere without you." She blinked. Her mouth twitched like she wanted to argue but didn't. They reached the compound. It was worse than she remembered. A hollow shell, but it was shelter. They stepped inside. Ethan collapsed onto a dusty mattress. Lily sat near a boarded-up window. Her knees hugged to her chest. "I'm not doing this for favors," she said. "I just don't like watching people die." He smiled, weak but real. "Well, I'm glad you don't." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The wind howled through the gaps in the walls. He sat near the doorway, staring out at the stars, his mind spinning. Lily's voice cut through the quiet. "If they find us again, you run." "Got it. I'm not leaving you." She didn't answer. But later, as he got up to check the perimeter, he noticed something. Her knife, always at her side, wasn't there. It was in his hands. She'd given it to him before sleep. And for the first time, he realized she was starting to trust him. We're truly sorry for pausing the story here, especially with everything building to such intensity. But we'll continue with next part. Before we do, let us ask you this. What do you think Lily fears more, being hunted or being cared for? And if you were Ethan, what would you do to earn her trust? Also tell us, where are you watching from today? If this story stirred your heart, please give it a like and drop a heart below. It means the world to us. By the time the sun rose over the horizon, both Ethan Bennett and Lily Carter were already on their feet, backs aching, faces streaked with dust, but eyes sharp. There was no more hesitation. Today, something would change. They followed a dried-out creek bed, moving with caution. At one point, Ethan turned to Lily. "There's an old copper plant near the highway. Shut down years ago. If we reach it, we're close to the main road." "You're sure?" she asked, skeptical. "About 90%. "Great," she muttered. "Better odds than usual." Hours passed. They rested beneath a twisted tree as the noon heat grew unbearable. Ethan offered her the last of their food, a stale protein bar he'd saved in his pocket. "Why are you really helping me?" she asked, voice soft. "Because you saved me, and because no one should have to grow up thinking they're alone." She didn't answer, just took a bite and looked away. By late afternoon, they reached a clearing. Asphalt, cracked and dry, cut across the land like a lifeline. Ethan's chest filled with cautious hope. "That's it," he said. "We wait here." And they did. Minutes turned to nearly an hour. Lily grew restless. "What if no one comes?" she asked. "They will," he replied, though doubt gnawed at him. Then a black SUV appeared in the distance, rolling toward them like a promise. It pulled to a gentle stop, and Detective Laura Fields stepped out, sunglasses shading the concern in her eyes. "Ethan," she called. He stood up slowly. "We're here." Her gaze shifted to Lily. "Is she?" "She's the reason I'm alive," Ethan said. "Her name is Lily Carter, and she's coming with me." Laura looked Lily up and down. "Are you okay with that, sweetheart?" Lily hugged her backpack tighter. "He says he's going to help." They all say that. Laura's eyes softened. "Then I'll help too. But it won't be easy. I don't care," Lily said. "Just don't put me in one of those places again." "No shelters," Ethan added. We'll do this by the book, but she's staying with me. Laura nodded. All right, but you're going to need lawyers, papers, and a whole lot of patience. They drove to Laura's modest home on the edge of town. Lily showered for the first time in months. When she stepped out, her hair damp, wearing clean clothes borrowed from Laura's niece, Ethan could hardly recognize her, but her eyes, fierce and alert, were the same. They sat at the kitchen table. Lily picked at her food until finally she asked, "So what happens now?" Ethan met her eyes. "We talked to someone who knows how to make this real, a lawyer. Her name's Margaret Walsh, but only if you want this." Lily didn't answer, just nodded slightly and returned to eating. The next day they sat across from Margaret's desk. She was calm, sharp, and used to hearing impossible stories. "No birth certificate?" she asked. "Nothing," Ethan said. Lily spoke up. "I left. I wasn't taken. I left because they hit me, because they yelled at me and told me I wasn't wanted." Margaret's pen stopped mid-sentence. "I chose the street." Lily continued, "Because at least out there it was me choosing." Margaret leaned forward. "Then maybe it's time someone chose you back." The process began. Weeks passed. Papers were filed, home visits scheduled, psych evaluations arranged. Lily struggled at times. School was rough. The other kids cruel, but Ethan was there. Always. One afternoon, Lily came home in tears. Someone had called her adopted garbage. Ethan knelt in front of her. "Do you know what I see when I look at you?" She wiped her face. "What strength, bravery. A girl who fought for herself when no one else would. I just want to be normal." "You're more than normal," he said. "You're extraordinary." That night she placed her old knife, the one she carried for years, into a drawer. "I don't think I need this anymore," she whispered. And for Ethan, that quiet gesture meant more than any signature. When the court date finally arrived, Ethan and Lily sat side by side in a cold room. A judge read from the file, adjusted his glasses, and looked at Lily. "Do you understand what this means?" he asked. Lily nodded. "It means I get a real last name." "And do you choose to be part of this family?" "I do," she said. "As long as I can keep my own room and no locks on the door." Everyone smiled. The judge signed the order. "Then let it be known," he declared, "Lily Carter Bennett is now legally and officially the daughter of Ethan Bennett." Outside the courthouse, they didn't celebrate with balloons or cake, just silence and the kind of peace that only comes from belonging. That evening, Lily buried a small box beneath the tree Ethan had planted when she first arrived. A photo, a drawing of the two of them, and a cheap plastic ring he'd given her. "This is so I remember where I came from," she said, "but also where I belong now." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're home." And for the first time in her life, she believed it. Now it's your turn to reflect. What moment in this story moved you the most? Do you believe someone's past ever truly defines their future? And most importantly, what do you think of this story overall? If it touched your heart, comment no. 3 below. If it felt average to you, comment no. 2. And if you think we can do better next time, comment no. 1. Tell us, what country are you watching from? If this story meant something to you, please give it a like, drop a heart, and share it with someone who believes in second chances.